There's a plan quietly unfolding behind the scenes, a plan that could redefine the boundaries of science, power, and even reality itself. While most of us are focused on switching to electric cars, recycling plastic, or debating carbon taxes, a far more radical idea is taking shape. It's a last resort response to climate collapse. A plan not to adapt to the environment, but to change it. This plan is called climate engineering, and while it might sound like science fiction, it's quickly becoming science fact. The terrifying part isn't that we're thinking about it. It's that we're actually doing it. Experiments are already underway. Test flights have been prepped. Billionaire funding is flowing in. And yet, most of the world has no idea what's happening, or what's at stake. They'll tell you it's just research. A precaution. A theoretical backup plan. But what they're not telling you is that once we start engineering the climate, there might be no turning back. At its core, climate engineering is the deliberate, large-scale manipulation of the Earth's systems to counteract climate change. That means reprogramming the sky, the oceans, the carbon cycle, all in an effort to cool the planet or remove greenhouse gases from the air. For decades, this idea lingered on the fringes of science. It was taboo. Dangerous. A last-ditch fantasy if humanity failed to get its act together. But today, with temperatures rising faster than expected, ice sheets melting decades ahead of schedule, and billion-dollar disasters becoming routine, it's no longer just an idea. It's a growing scientific field. A political debate. A moral minefield. And most importantly, it's already being tested. Not in secret bunkers or far-off laboratories, but in open-air experiments, with real consequences for real people. The most aggressive form of climate engineering doesn't remove carbon. It doesn't even touch emissions. It simply tries to block sunlight. One of the most widely discussed methods is called stratospheric aerosol injection, the deliberate release of reflective particles into the upper atmosphere to bounce solar radiation back into space. The idea comes from nature itself. When Mount Pinatubo erupted in 1991, it released so much sulfur dioxide into the sky that global temperatures dropped by ½ degree Celsius for an entire year. Some scientists saw that and thought, what if we could do that on purpose, year after year, to keep the planet cool? On the surface, it sounds promising. Cooling the Earth quickly, perhaps buying time while we phase out fossil fuels. But this isn't a real solution, it's a mask. It doesn't fix the cause. It hides the symptoms. And beneath that thin layer of artificial cool lies a ticking time bomb. Because if we start spraying aerosols and then stop, even for a few months, global temperatures could spike back up with a vengeance. This sudden heat surge, known as termination shock, could collapse food systems, destroy biodiversity, and plunge the world into chaos. And that's not even counting the unpredictable ripple effects of manipulating the global climate. Rain patterns could shift, droughts could emerge in new places, storms could intensify. In trying to fix one crisis, we may unleash another. But the real question isn't just about technology, it's about control. Once we admit that we can intentionally reshape the climate, we're forced to confront a far darker question: who gets to decide how? Imagine a world where one country decides it's had enough. Maybe it's suffering from record-breaking heat waves, or facing an agricultural collapse. So it launches a climate engineering program to cool its region. But that cooling shifts the jet stream, disrupts rainfall in another part of the world, and triggers famine elsewhere. Would that be seen as an act of war? This is the geopolitical nightmare that no one is ready for. Climate engineering could destabilize entire continents, not because of malice, but because the Earth's systems are so tightly intertwined that changing one thing here can break something else over there. And right now, there is no international agreement. No global oversight. No binding treaty. Nothing stopping a single nation, or even a private actor, from going ahead with their own experiment. The idea that someone could alter the sky without asking the rest of the planet isn't just unnerving. It's terrifying. And make no mistake, it's not just governments that are exploring this power. Billionaires are in the mix too. In recent years, high-profile figures like Bill Gates have funded solar geoengineering research. A Harvard project even planned to launch a test balloon in Sweden to study how particles behave in the stratosphere. The mission was called SCOPEX. It was delayed, then cancelled, after massive public backlash. But the point remains, the infrastructure is already being built. Even more bizarrely, a small startup recently claimed it had begun launching reflective particles into the atmosphere without any regulatory approval. They packaged it as a subscription service. A way to offset your carbon footprint by buying cooling credits. Let that sink in. A private company, unregulated, began altering the climate as a product. This is the Wild West of weather modification. There are no rules. No limits. Just ambition and the illusion of control. The scariest part of all of this is how seductive it is. In a world running out of time, climate engineering feels like a silver bullet. An elegant, high-tech fix to a complex, slow-moving disaster. But it's not a cure. It's a crutch. And worse, it might distract us from real solutions. Some scientists warn that even researching geoengineering creates what's called a moral hazard. If leaders believe there's a backup plan, they might delay decarbonization. They might avoid making the hard choices. They might continue to pollute, believing that science can clean up the mess later. But if we bet on climate engineering too soon, we risk becoming addicted to it. Like a patient who refuses to stop smoking because they're taking medication. The result? A dangerous cycle of dependence on a technology we don't fully understand, with risks we can't fully control. And yet, if temperatures spiral past safe limits, if we reach 2 or 3 degrees of warming, we may have no other option left. It becomes the lesser evil. The devil we know. That's the haunting paradox. If we move too fast, we lose control. If we wait too long, we might have no choice. And here's what they're not telling you, this isn't a debate for the year 2100. It's already happening. China has launched massive weather modification programs. India and Russia are exploring their own versions. The United States is funding research into direct air capture facilities that can extract carbon from the atmosphere at industrial scale. Even marine geoengineering is advancing. Scientists are seeding oceans with iron to trigger plankton blooms that absorb carbon dioxide. All of these projects are real. Funded. Active. They're not hypothetical anymore. And the truth is, the longer we wait to deal with climate change, the more appealing these technologies will become. At first, they'll be pitched as temporary. As a stopgap measure. Just a tool to buy us time. But once the infrastructure is built, once the cooling begins, we might never be able to stop. Because stopping would mean unleashing all the warming we've been holding back, in an instant. So what they're not telling you is this: climate engineering won't save us from climate change. It won't remove carbon, restore biodiversity, or repair broken ecosystems. It won't stop sea level rise or prevent ocean acidification. It might cool the Earth's surface. But it won't fix what's broken underneath. They're not telling you that once we begin, we might be trapped in a technological maintenance loop for centuries. A planet on artificial life support. A world where every year, aerosols must be sprayed, oceans must be seeded, skies must be engineered, just to survive. They're not telling you that this could become the most powerful tool in human history, or the most dangerous. And above all, they're not telling you that no one is really in charge. No one is ready. No one is prepared for the consequences. Climate engineering might sound like the future. But it's really a reflection of the past, of a civilization so used to fixing problems with tools and tech that it never stopped to ask whether some problems shouldn't be fixed that way at all. We are standing on the edge of a new era. One where the laws of nature may be rewritten by human hands. But just because we can change the climate, doesn't mean we should. If this video opened your eyes, hit the like button, share it with someone who still thinks climate change is only about emissions, and subscribe for more deep dives into the technologies shaping, and possibly endangering, our future. Because here at Futuristic Edge, we go where the headlines won't. Until next time, stay curious, stay critical, and stay awake to the future we're building, whether we mean to or not.